underneath. Oops.
Okay,
Right,
sorry about that. Everybody, hello, it's Andrea again. I forgot to press record. So here's Meryle Hayton, and we're talking about her transformational coaching and how people come to her organically, originally with anxiety, and I'm going to let her finish. Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, so organically, women tend to come to me who have a lot of anxiety, although they might not call it that. They might call it that they're nervous, they have trouble sleeping, they have digestive issues, and they don't really label it necessarily anxiety. Some of them know. And they tend to be type A women, so they're all up in their head, right? They've done lots of head focused type therapy, healing, which means listening to podcasts, reading books, talk therapy, but they haven't really connected to their body and their nervous system. And anxiety really is a symptom of nervous system issues, right? Feelings in your body. Heart rate, elevated heart rate, like palpitations, sweaty palms, constricted breathing. Those are, very common things. And they tend to have relationship issues, either with their significant other or, with their friends or family, where they're overgiving and people pleasing, and they're feeling frustrated. They're not really getting what they want. So they don't really know how to receive because they really don't feel worthy of receiving. But that's what we end up digging out, right? So that's who tends to organically come to me, and they're ready to, I got an email from someone and she said, I'm ready to reclaim myself, right? So it's women who want to reclaim all the selves, I say. So self-confidence, self-trust, really following your heart and intuition without question, right? And letting go of indecision, like learning to accept indecision and just really practicing trusting yourself, increasing your self-esteem, increasing your self-love, and increasing your self-worth. And all of the work that I do is accepting and loving all the parts of you. So all the pain, the illness, the limiting beliefs, the shame, I'm not worthy, all the parts. And it's just developing a healthier, more loving relationship with those parts. So it's not removing them or letting them go or forgetting about them or anything. It's really, merging all of you together to create wholeness and oneness, right, within yourself.
So self-acceptance, I really appreciate that, because I was one of those women that was always in her head. Mm-hmm. And I actually work with a shaman, a friend of mine. So to really help me really connect to that. And I have to tell you, it's a process. It's not something that I found easy, because it's very hard to switch that when you're so used to doing that, and I struggled with sleep most of my life because of my brain was still going, actively. So I had to put certain things into place to stop that. So it's not an easy process. So how do you get them into their body and out of their head? That can't be easy. From my own experience, I would have been like an all-day project.
So obviously it was something that I did for myself. I've always been a seeker of wanting to feel better and happier in my own body, and have more self-love and acceptance for my own self. So all of what I help my clients do, I've experienced myself. And it has been a long process. And in 2017, so 5 years ago, I found EFT tapping. And that really has been the game changer for me, because EFT tapping means emotional freedom techniques, and it is tapping on the Chinese energy meridian points, very similar to an acupuncturist using needles, but we're using our fingertips instead, so it's non-invasive. And there's a basic recipe of points that's on the hands, head and face, chest, fingers, and top of the ribs, so right under the chest. And there are detective kind of techniques that I also have been, trained in along with the tapping. And we say psychological phrases that pertain to what your issue is. So it's, say, for example, I have fear of expressing myself in my relationships. And I get this lump in my throat. I just feel I get this lump in my throat, and then it kind of makes me almost tear up, and I just feel so uncomfortable, and then I kind of shut down. All right, well, the shutdown is a nervous system response. How does that feel in your body? And sometimes we start with people and they say, I don't feel anything, but with the work and the tapping, they eventually learn how to develop that relationship with how are you feeling in your body? What's the sensations coming up? And then we merge it all together in the practice of tapping. So I have this fear in my chest, this tight fear in my chest, this nervousness in my belly, right? This nervous fear in my belly. And I help them, we talk it out, and I help them connect all of the words. And that is what brings in true healing. So as we remove some of the layers, we allow the tapping to help us and divinely guide our wisdom to go to the next places that we need to uncover and seek out and heal, really. So it will bring us to events in our past where, oh yeah, I had this teacher in school and she told me to shut up one day, right? And okay, well, what do you think that has a connection with why you have an issue speaking up in your relationships today? Well, I feel like I'm going to be judged. Oh, you feel like you're going to be judged. Oh, okay. Well, what does that feel like in your body? Oh, that it's hurtful, it's sad. And where do you feel that? In my heart, maybe, right? So it's just constant talking and excavating, I call it. It's like I'm an emotional archaeologist. Like we're just digging and digging and digging, and in all of these events and emotions that are stored in our body from everything from even before you were born, right? Our ancestors brought us their stuff and infused it in us when we were born. And then our, physical 3D world created events and emotions that we experienced to, make us who we are today. And, I believe that, I mean, I've seen it, in all of the muck and the messiness and maybe the hard stuff that we have to go to is where the gold of your transformation is. Right. And when we can get to that, that's when people just experience incredible inner peace. Right. And they can let go of, the chaos in their mind and the overthinking, and right, the body is just more relaxed, and then you sleep better, your digestion is better, and right, it just creates a whole new you, really.
I know that it is definitely a journey. I'm still one of those people that are a little bit of a people pleaser. And then I do a lot of things for people close to me in my life. And then I get angry that I give up all that time.
Right.
And I say, well, they didn't ask me to do it. I did this myself. So I have to remember that and step back. So I think it's growth, I still find myself in my head sometimes. And I try to retrain my thoughts. Like when I catch myself saying something that's not empowering me, I rephrase it. I say something at the end to turn it around, because I believe when we feed ourselves negative thoughts, that impacts who we are now. And I do believe in that whole ancestor thing that you were talking about, that it's not just our lives, it's what we bring into this world with us. They say
Absolutely.
it follows us for forever. And
Yeah.
when I first heard that concept, I was like, what? And then the more I listen and the more I study, because I'm really into mindset and things like that. And when you listen to these speakers and they tell you, that the universe is really created and to give us whatever we want, that we're the ones that really stop that from happening. Do you believe in that as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I also practice a spiritual non-tapping form of EFT called optimal EFT, which is using your higher power and unconditional love in order to promote healing from within as well. And I also practice all law of attraction, and I've married all of that together in my practice and created my own signature 5-step process called the emotional clearing method. And that's what I take my clients through. So I absolutely believe in that. I mean, and I'm trained in inner child work with EFT and ancestral healing with EFT. I'm currently going through EFT for trauma training, and I'm certified and accredited in level 3, in tapping. There's, 3 levels. So.
We were supposed to meet once before and you were going for training. I think it's amazing that you're always going for all these trainings, because that shows commitment to what you do for your clients, to always want to be the best you can. So I know that we were supposed to meet another week and you were like, no, that week won't work. I have training. So
yeah, I definitely immerse myself. I mean, even in my last career, I owned a nail salon for like 30 years is what I did, and which was all about beauty on the outside, which is so interesting because that was me. I was like I needed to look perfect and the perfectionist kind of person in order to, feel good about myself and feel validated and all of that. But really, I wanted beauty on the inside. And that's what I do now. And, but even in that career, I was always going for training. I just immersed myself in it because this is a calling for me. I feel blessed to have a second career it's totally a calling. I mean, I was pushed and led and everything, into what I'm doing now. It's not something that I said, oh, gee, that kind of looks like maybe I should try that. It was, I mean, it really, really was something that changed my life. And yeah, it's just incredible, really.
So I know that people with anxiety, that a lot of this is caused by that, being in their head. Does this apply to people that are suffering from depression and other illnesses? Could it help people? Because a lot of times illness is caused by anxiety, stress, and stuff. So this can really help anyone, not just someone who's anxious and in their head. This can help people that have had past traumas, people that have illnesses in their body. Am I correct, or am I missing?
Oh, absolutely. So most of the time I come across, because EFT is fairly new. I mean, it's been out since I would say the 80s, I mean, and it is a holistic, proven, evidence-based proven method. There's plenty of research that you can find on it, scientific research on it. And so what a lot of people think is that it just helps to quell emotions in the moment. And you can tap, I mean, I'll just do the basic recipe here for anybody that, wants to try it, right? You can tap on the side of your hand and then the top of your head and inner eye and outer eye, under the eyes. And you can do it with one hand. Doesn't have to be both, right? Under the collarbone and then under the arm here. You can do that basic recipe and take a deep breath, a focused breath on every point. It'll take you a minute or two. You could do 1 or 2 or 3 rounds, and it will quell anything that is going on for you, any emotion. And it can help prepare you if you're afraid to drive, afraid to fly, have a difficult doctor's appointment. Maybe you got bad news. You have to have a difficult conversation with someone. Maybe you're going to speak at an event. Any kind of anticipation that you might have about something in the future, right? Or you have this repeating bad thought about something from your past or whatever is currently going on. You can quell that in the moment. But what you want to really do is find out what was the cause, what is the cause of me worrying about the future? What is the cause of me, still trapped in decades of unworthiness, right? Or not being able to say, I truly love myself, right? And not being able to accept all the parts. And that's where the true transformation really comes in, is like finding the events from your past. So it's uncovering where your limiting beliefs and core beliefs, stemmed from and started from. And it's removing the emotional intensity to those. It's healing all the parts that need healing. It's rewiring your nervous system and your brain and your thoughts. And then it's anchoring in to the new self-image, the new thoughts, the new perspectives, the new life that you want. So that's how I marry all of those practices together with my clients. So
I just want to ask some questions that came up while you were talking. So I know that physically taking the action, changes the thought. So is that the act of connecting them, or is it deeper than that, them trying to figure out where that feeling's coming from as they're doing the action? So are they doing both simultaneously, or are they just relaxing into it and getting back into the body while they're doing the actions, while they're, and there was one more. So I mean, these things all sound like a lot. I mean, I was a basket case in my own head, if I'm being honest. I don't hide this now. This book that I'm in is all about being okay with who I am, and I finally am at that place in my life. Like yourself, I did dress up the outside and was dying on the inside. So I totally get that. I was right there with you. So I'm trying to understand, because I know it's a very long, arduous process. So when someone comes to work with you, does that look like a 3-month? I mean, of course, the longer they're with you, the more they're going to get to the root of it. But if they have deep, buried trauma, how long would something like that get to surface? Would it depend on?
It depends on the client, because I'm not there to push anyone to say, you have to do it this way.
Yes.
It's up to them and their readiness, to want to dig. And I'm there to hold a very safe and sacred place for them to process, where they're not going to get re-traumatized.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of tapping, is that it keeps, we can tell a story. I mean, I've helped someone heal from sexual trauma from when they were 5. I don't even know the story, because I don't need to know the details. It's just, how did it make you feel? Right? And they can play it like kind of a distant movie in their head, and we can wipe out those emotions, and then there's no attachment to it anymore. It's just like something happened in their past. Sometimes people get a complete reframe of a story. They can actually change the details of a story. So
I love that. I have a few stories I'd like to replay. I might be your next client.
I'd be happy. So, I do a free consultation for anyone who's interested. And I say, okay, because of what you told me and where you are and where you want to be, I'm going to recommend this program for you, right? It's 6 months, 3 months, or it's 6 weeks, typically, is what I have. And I also do in-person retreats and in-person workshops and things like that as well. Yeah, so it really depends on, the readiness of my client.
I love that. I wanted people to be clear on that, because, a lot of times people want results, like in my business too. They want results in like 5 days, 5 minutes, 5 seconds. And it didn't take them 5 minutes, 5 seconds, or 5 days to get to where they're at. So that's kind of why I wanted to ask you that people have to realize that this is commitment and work.
It is commitment, and and it is work.
But it's worth it.
I mean, I guess it's hard for me, I've been, in the dirt and in the muck and in the messiness, and I'm very comfortable with that. I understand not everybody is. And then they're not ready. It's not their time. They wouldn't be a client for me, really. I mean, they could learn the basics and maybe help themselves kind of through, their life, to kind of navigate daily challenges maybe a little bit better. And as you are ready, as you remove some of that, then you get more ready and more ready and more ready to, to dive a little bit deeper. But, and I wanted to just say one thing on a comment that you had was, sometimes I also want to, I have that negative thought. Nope, I'm going to think this way. Right. But sometimes when in that pivot, there's a little bit of avoidance of something. And so I just encourage whoever's watching this to be really aware of, am I avoiding something by pivoting my thoughts? Or, is my intuition or my heart telling me something that I'm avoiding, right, by pivoting my thoughts to I just want to think positively, right?
I understand that. I think that for a long time, Meryle, I grew up feeling like I wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So
me
so
too.
I don't think that was necessarily my environment. I was very depressed as a child, and I share that openly now. It wasn't that I had an unusual life or an abnormally hard life. I had a parent that loved me very much, great sisters, but that's how I felt inside. So I'm 55, so after 55 years of going to that negative place in my mind, I mean, I can remember being 16 in a train passing and wishing I was under it or leaving somewhere on it.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't know why my head went to that place, I chose to look at it then rather than go on medications and do those things. But sometimes if things aren't going just as I like it, my head always reverts to those bad thoughts, like, instead of good, like, you can do this. Right away, I say to myself, can I do this? It's like I still second guess myself.
Right.
Like the book that I was telling you about earlier, when I was approached to do this, I said, can I do this? And I had to go, not for avoidance reasons, but I had to say, yes, you can, and really talk myself into that and really break through those beliefs that way. Because sometimes, no matter how much I want to be 100% in on myself, things that are going around me kind of say, I'm doing this, can I do this too? So I mean, any advice for someone like me?
I mean, we're all human. I do it sometimes too, but I, like you, it's like you got to keep checking in with yourself. And I know, I mean, just today, this morning I got a message from a gentleman. I did his wife's nails. She followed me everywhere for like 25 years. I did her nails, and he told me that she passed in June. And, of course, I wrote him a message back. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Right. And it brought me back to my old self where I was like, wow, she really followed me. And he thanked me for being a part of her life, which was beautiful. It can make me even upset. And I said, it was interesting because there was some shame that came up in me in my yoga practice this morning when I was thinking about this. And I said, yeah, you just have to give yourself forgiveness, right? That I didn't know any better about how I was not the best in treating people because I was just lived in a lot of fear, as someone, with my own negative thoughts and things like that. So, it's always a beautiful process, I feel, of bringing ourselves back into, loving ourselves and forgiving ourselves, that we did the best that we could with the tools that we had.
In one of the coaching programs I was with Eben Bagand, I love his wife, Annie. We do this deep breathing exercise, and she makes you identify and draws you into your body and asks you to rate it. And if it's above a 5, she says that it's outside of yourself. It's not your pain that you're feeling. It's coming from somewhere else. And that was really so motivational for me, the way that she did it, because I had trouble really like sitting still and sitting inside my body. I was always that anxious person. So her lessons really helped me to tap back and get into a place in my life where I could relax and sit still for more than 5 minutes. So when I am, and I'm asking you because this is what you do, if for me, would you recommend that instead of trying to do that switch to that positive place, should I acknowledge those feelings of unworthy and say this is not, this is okay to feel unworthy, and then go to that place where know that you can. So I love you, it's okay, but you can. Is that a better approach?
Yeah, I use the even though statements, because that's what we do in tapping. Like, even though I have this fear, that I'm not enough or I'm not capable, I'm choosing to honor I feel that way. Right. And even though I fear, right. And you don't have to tap, but this is going to help disrupt those patterns and dismantle those patterns. That's what the tapping really does. So you could say, even though I'm feeling like I'm second guessing myself, because you brought that up, I'm choosing to trust, right, that I'm capable of doing this next step, right? Or even though I'm second guessing myself, I'm choosing to give myself love and accept this, if that's what your words are, right? It has to be whatever your truth is. So I'm just going to honor this about myself, or just acknowledge I feel this way, right? Or I'm open to the possibility of what else is possible here, right? There's always ways that it can be, kind of flipped or pivoted, but I feel like there needs to be a sense of acceptance of what is happening, so that you're processing through and transmuting through the feelings, right? Instead of just pushing them to the side.
Or stuffing them down.
Well, that's what I mean. Same, and stuffing them down, because
that's what I did.
Stuck.
Yeah, and it just got me further and further away from who I was and really what I wanted. I woke up one day and I was like, where did my life go? What do I enjoy? I was someone that was involved in so many things, and how much of it was really for me and how much of it was for other people. So I had to really look at that, and going forward, it was like I felt like I was 3 years old again. And I was just finding out who I was and what I enjoy, and at 55, I'm finding these things that I never even thought I enjoyed, that I just love and that I embrace now. So if you could say anything to our audience, what would that be, if you could impart your wisdom?
Well, I guess one thing that is like intuitively coming in is that if you ever feel stuck, acknowledge that. Even though I'm feeling stuck, right? I'm just choosing to honor I'm feeling stuck, and I'm open to asking what else is possible here, because you really do have a choice. Always, there really is a choice of how you want to think, how you want to feel, how you want to live your life, right? There really is always choices. And you can absolutely learn how to feel in control in your body instead of life or other people controlling you.
I love that. You have a book too. I don't think what's the name of that book?
It's called The Ultimate Guide to Creating Your Soul Aligned Business.
Oh, I love that.
This is for the entrepreneur. I mean, it's all written by female entrepreneurs. It's for the entrepreneur, I would say more of a newer entrepreneur, maybe 3 to 5 years in business, or less. And we all give our inspiring story on how we created our soul aligned business, because I'm living my soul's purpose. I mean, there's no question that I'm living my soul's purpose, and I've been able to make it, into a career. And we all share a strategy on what our zone of genius is. So there's an EFT strategy, in my chapter of how to stay aligned, motivated, by shutting down your inner critic, using EFT tapping.
I love that.
Thank you for
So
asking.
because I'm gonna be sharing those links, and I saw Amazon go past my head. And because you have a lot of places they could reach us, but you're also on Facebook too, right? Because most of our listeners right now are on Facebook. I am going to share all of your links, but where could they find you on Facebook?
Everything is under my name, Meryle Hayton.
Meryle
I
Hayton.
have an empowering community for women, free Facebook group. And I do have a business page. It's Meryle Hayton Transformational Coach. And I'm on all the platforms: TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, my website.
You're like me. I love that. I love that people tell you should only be on one platform. And I was like, but there's so much stuff out there. I feel like I want to reach more people that I have.
Right.
I feel like I have a lot to share. And I feel like I'm kind of diminishing that by only being in one place.
I hear you. And I share all of the same kind of stuff like you're saying you do, on all of the platforms. I do reels, and I do 30-minute emotional healing and clearing sessions every Wednesday in my group. I have a blog on my website, and there's lots of freebies out there. If you subscribe to my website, you get a 7-day tapping into worthiness freebie with a PDF like script of the tapping words that you can print out. And then every month I do a theme. I call it a movement for the month. So September was stress less in September. October was reduce overthinking in October. And for November, it's stop nervousness in November. Try to make it catchy.
No, but I think
and you get like a 7-day freebie, tapping freebie for each month. So yeah,
I think that's great. Well, I'm personally going to look you up. I don't know about everybody else, but I do have all those links, so I'll be the first one in a lot of them. I'm just going to sign off to everybody. I wanted everybody to know how to reach you. I think what you do is wonderful. I think that you're helping so many men and women out there. And that's really why I was interested in talking to you, because I think EFT alone by itself is something that could really help people, but just embracing who you are. There's a lot of things going on in what you're doing. It's not just EFT. You're really helping people break past barriers, traumas that have been left dormant for so long, and giving them the courage to really believe in themselves. And I applaud that.
Thank you. Yeah, I just really, I'm an expert in, changing your subconscious programming. It's really what it is. And that's where everything is stuck and stored. All those limiting beliefs.
I love it. Okay, guys, so we're going to say goodbye to Meryle. Thank you for tuning in. And I am running into another meeting right after this. So it's going to be a little while before that uploads, and then I'll send those off to you. Okay, so goodbye, guys. I'm going to say goodbye to them, and then